Welcome to Autism Knows No Borders, a podcast where people connected to autism inspire change and build community. Together with the Global Autism Project, I'm your host, Rachel Harmon, a professional with over a decade of experience in the field of autism services, outreach, and advocacy. Are you the parent of an autistic child? Or are you in a relationship with an autistic partner? If you'd like to learn about how to better understand and support them, stick around for part 2 of my conversation with licensed professional counselor Meghan Ashley, where she talks about taking the autistic perspective. Among other things, we discuss the consequences of disclosing her and her 2 sons' autism to their extended family, common struggles parents face when trying to understand their autistic children, how to create an autism-friendly home environment, the complexity of unmasking in different situations, and tips for non-autistics when interacting with autistic individuals. In this episode, discover what's possible when you really put yourself in someone else's shoes. And now, I present you Meghan Ashley. So how did this show up for you and your family, like your extended family, to have you and your sons be on the spectrum? What was that like for them?
It was interesting. So my oldest was diagnosed first, and then my youngest was diagnosed, and then I was self-realized, diagnosed, whatever you want to call it, realizing that I'm autistic also. And so it came in waves, right? With the oldest, who appeared more neurotypical, they're like, he's not autistic. He just has his quirks. He'll grow out of it. I'm like, no, he's autistic and it's fine. He's autistic and he's great. He's autistic and he's smart. We can be multitudes, like we can contain multitudes, and that's absolutely fine. And so we had a lot of pushback. Me and my husband had a lot of pushback with certain family members who were just like thinking they were being supportive by saying like, oh, no, he's not this, he's not that. And we're like, no, we need to be realistic. We need to be affirming. We need to love on him and care for him exactly how he is instead of wishing that he was different. We weren't wishing he was different, but they were. And so we had to make a hard decision to cut off certain family members who could not accept our son's autism diagnosis. When our younger son was diagnosed as autism, and he's the child who presents as more like stereotypically autistic, like when you would look at an autistic child and think that this person is autistic. And so nobody argued with his diagnosis. Nobody said anything, but I did notice that they would treat him differently than my older son. And then that turned out to be a second cutting off, is you don't get to treat them differently. Like my older one, you'll take him places and do things with him, but you won't take my younger one. You can learn how to help him. If you choose not to learn how to help him, then you're choosing not to be in his life. And that is absolutely fine. That's your choice. So then that was the second cutting off. And then the third, once I realized that I was autistic, then it was like, it was a big deal. Because it's like all of a sudden it was, you're trying to claim an identity that's not yours. There's nothing wrong with you. You've always been this way. You're not autistic because I do the same things and I'm not autistic. And I'm like, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We could look at that one closer if we wanted to. And so that was the third cutting off of people who were vehemently against my own diagnosis for their own reasons, and not wanting to hear and see me as an autistic person. And so after we've gone through those 3 stages, the people who are still here, our core people, are solid. Like those family members are reading about autism and they are learning and they are willing to figure it out with us, including with my younger son. Like they don't treat him differently than my older son. They make him feel loved and cared for because he is loved and cared for. And so the people who are still here, they're our people.
Yeah.
But the ones who are not, we can love them from afar, but they don't get to be in our lives.
Yeah. So would you say then that this stigma is going away within the community?
I'd love it if it was. I think that with more research, because it is exploding right now with autism research, especially coming out of the UK. Love what they're doing in the UK with all of the autism research, especially about women and about people of color. with more research coming out, with more ways for people to learn, even with things like the book that I wrote, like for giving people opportunities to understand, I think that it'll always be expanding the conversation. Even my own mom, like after talking to her about me being autistic, it took a few months for her to be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And oh yeah, you were tested for something when you were younger, but I forgot what I was supposed to do with those results. And I'm like, oh my God, like, like, so I think that the more chances people have to learn and the more they see autism as something that exists in their world also, then the more we won't have the stigma. It'll be lessen and lessen because it's like, yeah, my sister's autistic, my cousin's autistic, my grandma's autistic, and I've realized that I'm also autistic, and this is how it presents with me. I think TikTok and Reddit and Instagram are pushing a narrative forward that I know a lot of clinicians have voiced that they don't like, of people saying, oh my God, I identify with this, and bringing it into session and saying, hey, I think I'm autistic. I love it. I think it's fantastic that people are able to see someone else's lived experience. They're able to identify with that, and then they're able to question their own experience by comparing, right? I think that's fantastic. I love it as a clinician, not just as an assessor, but as a therapist. I can see why other therapists would feel threatened by that, by someone else saying I have some expert therapeutic knowledge, but I just think it's all data. It's all information. Bring in the TikTok. I watch it with my clients sometimes. If they're like, hey, I saw this TikTok about this thing. I wonder if that's something that I'm going through. I tell them to send me the TikTok. Let's watch it together in session. Let's figure it out. Let's use that data. Let's be scientists about it. Let's understand you as much as we absolutely can. And I love that TikTok and Reddit and lived experiences are helping people decrease stigmas of different things all the time, because it's just visible.
Yeah. I guess there is some danger though, right? When there's misinformation or pseudoscience out there that is claiming to do X, Y, and Z that leads people down the wrong path. So what do you say to some people, or maybe some of your clients, when looking at these videos and kind of therapeutic solutions? What are some things to look for that could be red flags?
Yeah. So I take it like how in college where they teach you how to do good research, right? You have to figure out what the source is, what bias that source might have, and what it is that they're trying to tell you and why, right? So if somebody brings in something, which classic autism thing, autism is caused by vaccines. It absolutely 1000% is not caused by vaccines. Now, I could tell the client that it's absolutely not caused by vaccines. I can tell them that, but if they've read this article and it gives them some type of hope, because if something caused autism, then they're thinking that something could take away the autism. I get where their brain is going, because they don't want their child to struggle. They don't want themselves to struggle. All of that is completely valid. So what I would tell them is, let's look at the source. Who wrote the article? What company was it that they were working for? What was the actual conclusion of the article? Let's read it. Let's look at the TikTok. Who is this person? What are they saying this for, and why? Are they selling you their detox thing that you put in the bath that I've seen, where they're like, take heavy metals out of your kid's body and all of a sudden they're not autistic?
Wow.
And I'm just like, you know what? Correlation does not equal causation. And a lot of clients, again, if you didn't go to grad school to learn like these type of, statistical things, then you may not know them. And so having a conversation about it, something can be correlating and it doesn't equal the cause. Changing your kid's diet could help them be more verbal, but it's not because the food is making them autistic. It's because they finally have a better gut biome, like their probiotics and prebiotics are working better for them. So they feel better. And so if they're not having to focus on digestion, then their body can actually let them do other things other than just be focused on having a stomach ache all day. So it's correlational, not causational, and so just having a very frank conversation with them about that and helping them learn how to evaluate sources and letting them come to the conclusions on their own, because people are going to think what they're going to think. I can just give you information. And if you're bringing it to me, it's because you obviously see me as someone who could give you good information. and not always just shut things down just because it's not what I believe. Like, I have a lot of clients who their kids are doing ABA. ABA is not something I chose for my child, and I did not choose it for my children for reasons. I'm never going to condemn somebody else for the choice that they make for their child. I would just ask them questions. What about this program do you think is helping your child? Okay, take all that thing that you feel like is helping your child. How can you generalize it in other places? Is it safe for your child? What makes it safe for your child? It's just the questions part and helping people come to their own conclusions, because that's what therapy is in and of itself. I'm not there to tell you how to live your life. I'm there to help you get to where you're telling me you're trying to go.
Mm-hmm. So you've had to kind of mask or be a certain way with all of your different identities, right? Like you're autistic, you're a woman, and you're a person of color.
Yes.
So what was that like for you growing up and finally taking the mask off in a way?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if the mask is all the way off. I don't think I want it to be. And I talk to people about that all the time, about unmasking. Unmasking is about safety. I don't know if and when I'll feel completely safe enough to take the mask off everywhere, because I don't think everywhere is safe. I think it's a case-by-case basis. I think it's in front of certain people, I'm more unmasked than I would be in front of others. I think I'm always assessing for safety with different people, even like doing podcasts. This time last year, I had been on a couple of podcasts, but it wasn't like autism focused. I wasn't out as much in the community as I am now after I did my TED Talk and I kind of outed myself as autistic. It just kind of went from there. I felt so much safer to be unmasked, even in the midst of this political climate and what people are saying about autism, uninformed individuals, willfully ignorant individuals as well. It still felt better for me to be unmasked in the community. And so I've been doing a lot more publicity and things like that I don't know if I'd say I was afraid to, or it just didn't feel safe to before. But for me in this moment right now, August 20th, 2025, like it feels okay for me to unmask in front of a greater audience. I've unmasked as an autistic person in front of my colleagues, which was a very big deal, because in the therapy community, you would think that therapists would be very welcoming of people with all different neurotypes and things, but a lot of times they aren't. It becomes oh, you're autistic? Well, you can't be a therapist then because you don't understand empathy. Yeah, I made the same face. Your clients must be suffering because you don't understand this or you don't understand that, all the stigmas and things that they think about autism that aren't true most of the time. My clients are thriving. My practice is full all the time. I'm turning people away because it is something that people are looking for. I'm good at what I do. And that's not bragging. Again, that's that autistic, like, it's just the truth. I'm very good at what I do. And people understand that. But did it mean that unmasking and telling people that I was autistic in the therapeutic community, that was a difficult thing? Yeah, that was way harder than I thought it was going to be. And I still do it because it still feels like, okay, it's safe enough. This, like 75% of the people in the therapeutic community are like, okay, cool, that's awesome. I can see your strengths. I can see your struggles. I see you as a full person and I see what you're doing for your clients. I think that's great. And then that other 25% is like, oh no, should somebody be supervising you because you're autistic? And
wow.
Yeah, I still have some of that. It's very interesting. I'll come in and I'll speak about a topic. Like I do speaking engagements and I'll speak at conferences and I'll speak all about things. And at the end, if I happen to say I'm autistic, then I'll see certain people's faces just be like, should we have listened?
Wow.
Yeah. And you would think, again, 2025, it wouldn't be like that. Lived experience would be respected. But a lot of times in the therapeutic community, it's not. If Freud came out and said that he had bipolar disorder, would people have listened to him less? Probably. We're not allowed to have those lived experiences a lot of the time in the therapeutic community. So unmasking for me, again, case-by-case basis, layer by layer. I'm pretty unmasked with most of my family. They all know. My friends, they all know. I'm in a social club for Black women, the Black Girl Social Club. And everyone in my Houston chapter, they all know. The national chapter, they know I've done autism speaking engagements for them, like teaching the greater Black community about autism as well. And it has taken a certain level of bravery to do so. And again, not bragging, but saying like having to bolster myself up to understand that a lot comes with that.
Yeah.
And people who have known me for a very long time, I mean, to know me is to know that I'm quirky, right? Like on some level, you got to know I'm autistic at some point, right? And so for people who have known me for a long time, they never say, oh my God, I never knew. They were just like, oh, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, kind of choosing the right environment to disclose.
Yeah.
Hey, Rachel here. I'd like to thank one of our listeners, Izzy0826, for reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts. They said, "Thank you for having conversations that will help people grow and think beyond stigmas and misinformation. Thank you for the kind words. 5-star reviews like yours help us to continue spreading autism awareness and acceptance around the world. If, like Izzy, you're finding value in Autism Knows No Borders, please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And now, back to the conversation." Okay, so Meghan, let's talk a little bit about your work. In your coaching with parents, what's a common struggle parents face when trying to understand their autistic children?
The biggest one I see is that they project what they would think and what they would do in that situation onto their kids. And I'll give you an example. You're running late for work and school, and you are telling your kids to put their shoes on, right? And it's always the shoes. You tell your kids, put your shoes on. You've got your backpack, you got your breakfast, you got everything else. The last thing I need you to do is put your shoes on. And your kid all of a sudden forgets what shoes are, right? They can't find their shoes. They don't remember how to tie the knots in them. They don't remember how to do this. Oh, their sock is messed up and this. And in your mind, it's like, you're trying to make me late. You are getting in my way of getting where I'm supposed to go. You're doing this on purpose. You're being mean to me, when that is not at all what our children are doing. That's not at all what they're doing, especially our autistic kids. They don't care about you being late. They're worried about the seam of their sock being correct. They're worried about, I want to wear this pair of shoes because those other ones don't feel good. And I'm trying to make sure I have a comfortable environment while I'm at school, which absolutely includes my feet. They're worried about, I want to wear my unicorn shoes because they light up and I like to look at how they light up while I'm at school. Nobody is trying to make you late. And so what I see with a lot of parents is they take what they think their kid is doing and they respond to that versus responding to what their kid is actually doing. So they're responding to, you're trying to make me late, so you're going to get punished for this. You hurry up, I'm going to drag you along, and all of this, instead of responding to what it actually is, they're just trying to accommodate themselves in what they're doing in that moment. If you help them with their shoes in a calm way, y'all can get out the door sooner. Nobody's angry. Nobody's fussing. Everything's fine. If you respond to what they're actually doing versus what you're attributing to them, then things would be a lot smoother. And I see that with parents of neurotypical children, but I especially see it with parents of autistic kids, and really, honestly, parents of ADHDers. They got that bad. Ooh, they have it bad. He's just scattered and he's not listening to what I'm saying because he doesn't care about what I'm saying. No, he heard you the first time. You just keep repeating it like he didn't hear you. And now he's looking off in space because he's already heard it 3 times already. It already sunk in 10 minutes ago. Like all of those things that they attribute, those negative things that they attribute to their kids, 9 times out of 10, that's not at all what your kid is doing. That's not at all what they're saying with their behavior. And so it's learning to listen to what they're actually telling you by learning how to listen to their behaviors. Because again, kids, they don't always have the vocabulary to take what's in their head and make it known. And so a lot of times the way that they communicate is through their behaviors. If you don't know how to listen, it's like you're sitting here speaking Mandarin to somebody who only understands English. If you don't know how to listen, if you don't know what to listen for, you're going to miss it every time. And so that's what I teach parents is I give you the language. I give you the ABCs. I give you the cheat codes to behavior so that you can actually interpret things accurately instead of interpreting things within your own bias.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I'm sure is really helpful because then instead of responding to, well, they're just being defiant, let me punish them for like trying to disobey me, then it turns into, well, how can I help them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so in your book, which by the way, it's titled Blueprint to Behavior Adapting to Autism in Your Family by Understanding Behaviors. So you say that parents should create an environment where they can feel comfortable, where their kids can feel comfortable and in control of their impulses and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give some examples of how to do that? Like what are some practical tips?
Yeah, to make your home more autistic friendly, turn off the big light. And that's a big thing with autistics is having lamps and things around. Not all of us are light sensitive, but a lot of us are light sensitive, and you can check in with your child, or if you're autistic yourself, what type of lighting makes me feel good in my home. And for our house is basically lamp, 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 no big light. There's only one person in the whole house who likes the big light, and it's the one person who's not autistic. It's my husband. He's an ADHDer. But yes, other than that, like turn off the big light. Everyone has their own special lighting that they like to use in every room. And that is one small way that we make things more autism friendly. And our house is looking at the lighting. So if we're looking at environments, I look at all five senses. I live in Texas. It's hot. And so therefore, if I'm hot, that's one of my triggers is that if I'm hot, I don't feel like I can think. I don't feel like I can breathe. I don't feel like I can function. And so therefore, if the temperature gauge goes above like 75, that's it. You might as well, I call out for the day. Like I'm just not going to be able to like people at that point. And so having something where I make sure my own personal temperature is always where I need it to be. I have fans, I have neck fans, I have hand fans, I have air conditioners, I have things around me that help me be comfortable. That is an accommodation in my autistic home that I need. And if I have other family members who don't like to be as cold as I am, then I have spaces where I could go so that I can have the temperature that I like and they can have theirs too. Everyone in my house has their own headphones. And I don't mean like one set. I mean like everyone has sets of headphones because some of us like things to be louder. Some of us like things to be quieter. I'm very noise sensitive, and so is my youngest. And so therefore, if my oldest wants to watch TV and he wants to watch it at like top volume, he can watch it on the PlayStation, plug in the headphones for it so he can be looking at the TV, but none of us can hear it. Only he can because it's on the headphones. And so we have like those kind of accommodations, which don't really look like accommodations, but they are. There are accommodations throughout our household so that everyone is allowed to be comfortable. Everyone is allowed to say, this is what I need. And then we all together figure out what needs to happen for that person to have that. It's never you just have to suffer through it. You just have to figure it out on your own. It's how can we help you?
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah. I'm sure that makes a huge difference when families or when parents can actually think about that. Maybe they're just going about their lives, their days in environments that are just not meant for their kids, right? And so kind of looking at those five senses, like you said, could be really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, because otherwise we're asking our children to be okay in environments in which they're not okay. And we're asking them to not need the tools that they definitely need in order for them to thrive. And that's not fair. That doesn't make any sense. That's something that you find in schools all the time. You would like my child to sit down at circle time for 30 minutes and listen. Why can't he stand up and pace during circle time? If that is what helps him listen better, because he's able to get out some of that energy that he has, he can still hear you. Why do we have to do it this way when this way is helpful also?
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think also practicing these accommodations at home will help kids have some confidence to speak up like in school or in the workplace later on in life and request those accommodations they need.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids are overly confident. They request accommodations at restaurants. Like, we'll go to a restaurant to eat, and they're like, I would like this, this, and this. Can I have it this way, please? And, like, they are very, polite and everything. And the waiters are always laughing because they're so young, and they know exactly what they want. They know exactly how they want it, and they don't have any qualms about letting you know. And they will always say please and thank you, but it will be, I would like my French fries on one plate. I would like my chicken tenders on another. And please bring me the ketchup in this kind of container. I would appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm like, okay, that's what they want and need. I love that they have the confidence that they can do that.
Right. Within reason, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great, Meghan. Well, I'd like to close with one last question. In your TED Talk, you spoke about taking the perspective of autistic people. So what advice would you give to non-autistics when interacting with autistic people they come across?
Get curious. Ask them what it is that they want and need, obviously, but also ask them about who they are and how they experience the world. Get curious. Find out about them the same way you would if you were going to start dating someone. You ask them about their family and their favorite color and all of that, but also asking them, like, what was today like for you and why was it that way? Well, I had a rough day because it started off with me being ripped out of my sleep by this awful alarm that I hate. And it wasn't even my alarm. It was my husband's alarm in the other room that woke me up. And that's how my day started off like this. So asking them about themselves, not just about like, how does your autism affect you, but understanding that their autism is a integral part of them. And when you're saying, how are you doing? You're also asking them, how are you doing as an autistic person? And so really just having more open conversations and just being openly curious. Again, that's how we destigmatize autism too, is understanding that it is normal. It's normalized. It is something that has been in all of our communities since the dawn of time. Just because we're talking about it now doesn't mean that it didn't exist before. And just really having conversations and listening, getting curious and actually listening to people so that when you know your autistic friend is coming over, you already know, I've turned off all the big lights. I put all the lamps on. I even put on some candles, but the unscented ones because they don't like the scented version of the candles. And, you know, like you're able to kind of accommodate a little bit more, just as if you're accommodating someone who may be hard of hearing or someone who has GI issues. Like you wouldn't serve certain things at a party to people who have severe Crohn's or IBS. You can also accommodate autistic people in the same way. So really just listening and understanding that it's a part of our experience and just wanting to be a part of that.
Great. Thank you. And how can people learn more about you?
You can go to my website, Imperfect Consulting. So the letter M, perfectconsulting.com. You can also go to my other website, which is Adapting to Autism, autism.com, which is a safe haven for adult autistics. I have all kind of cool digital downloads on my website that you can get, helping you work through your new autistic identity. I also have tools that you can create toolkits with, because I firmly believe that toolkits are the way that we make every environment comfortable for us, because it's not built for us right now. We should be going everywhere we would like to go and doing all the things we would like to do, but we just need our accommodations when we do so. You can also go watch my TED Talk. You can look for Meghan Ashley TED Talk on YouTube and it'll come up. You can watch it, like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things. And you can also purchase Blueprint to Behavior if you would like to. It's available everywhere where books are sold online. So it's on Amazon, but if Amazon is Voldemort to you, that is absolutely okay. You do not have to go on Amazon. You can do barnesandnoble.com, walmart.com, target.com. You can also support your local bookstores by ordering it from them online, having it sent to the bookstore and paying for it through there so that you can support your local bookstores. Always do that. Yeah, you can find me on the internet. Just look for Meghan Ashley and autism. And if you have a question, I love answering questions. Please, please, please email me if you have a question. You are not bothering me. I would love to answer. I'd love to interact.
All right. And we'll put links to all of that in our show notes. Okay, great. Thank you, Meghan. I think this is a really important conversation to kind of shed light on all of the different topics that we talked about, especially your unique experience, you know, as an autistic mother, woman of color, late diagnosed. All of that is so important these days when people are learning about the autistic experience. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to Autism Knows No Borders. If you enjoy this podcast and you'd like to support our mission, please take a moment to rate the show and leave a review. You'll be helping us to continue spreading autism awareness and acceptance around the world. Thanks for listening. Take care.